Morning everyone, thanks very much Michelle. I'm Peter Harris and thank you for coming along today and thanks for the invitation to speak. What I want to talk about today is the world of marketing and how marketing and market research can be better friends and can be more useful to each other. And I guess a little bit about myself. I started my career as an auditor in 1987 and I quickly got out of that and moved into marketing, which I found fascinating, and I spent 10 years as a marketer. And during that time, I developed a number of marketing plans, worked with some great agencies. But somewhere near the end of that 10 years, I started to take a close look at research. And on a couple of projects in particular, I saw how really deep consumer understanding can actually really, and just grabbing that and driving it via new product change or new advertising development, can really make a difference. And at that moment I thought, well, you know, that's actually what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in trying to understand people and understand how to actually, via understanding people, you know, build better products, develop better communications, or create better companies. So then I spent 10 years, I've spent the last 10 years in research at Colmar Brunton, and got involved in the AMSRS, which is the professional society in Australia representing 2,100 members. And I guess work with the AMI and AMSRS to try and bring market research and marketing more closely together. A few other things about myself is that I'm passionately Australian. I love all things about what's happening in Australia right now. I love understanding social change within Australia and what's happening also in the rest of the world. I've got 3 daughters who I love very much and try and spend as much time as I can with them. And as Michelle said, I am very fascinated by the new media, and in particular how new media and how research needs to adapt to suit new media and changing needs of business and changing needs of agencies and PR. And the final thing, I guess, is I'm an Ashes tragic. I'm really tired, I'm really disappointed. I'm not quite sure whether Ricky Ponting should be captain or not, but one thing for sure is that I'm looking forward to the next, in 4 years' time in England, for Australia to win back the Ashes. So there you go. I thought, you know, to bring you here, you've had a couple of days of discussion already and speeches to try and liven things up in the morning. I was sitting down and trying to think about what does research really need to do to be more relevant today. And believe it or not, when I was looking for inspiration, I realised that Vanilla Ice, hands up if you know who Vanilla Ice is. Okay. Keep your hand up if you're a fan. Come on. So I reckon there's some secret fans out there, so I've got a prize. I've got a couple of these beautiful t-shirts which are Stop, Collaborate and Listen. If anyone can tell me what country and what state Vanilla Ice was born in, put your hand up. Where's he from? What country? America. Okay, the lady there, it's a t-shirt. Can anyone tell me what decade his classic and maybe only one hit? Or who said 80s? Quickly. Put your hand up. Somebody, you can't win too. Okay, there's a fan down there, so the two of you. Come up and get your t-shirts. Come on, you know you want your Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice can teach us. And by the way, I've got one more t-shirt, and if anyone can ask Tim Bock a question that he can't answer at the end of this session, they get that t-shirt as well. So thinking about market research and what we need to do, and believe it or not, thinking about closer customer connection, changing times, who'd have thought that this man in 1989 already had the answer? And I guess in his classic hit, the first statement, he told us to stop, collaborate and listen. And man before his time, certainly. I don't know whether he had any other hits to my knowledge, but really in that statement is what I want to talk about today, and I really feel strongly this is what the research needs to do to be more relevant in business and more relevant to marketing, and it's my drive and passion right now to make sure that research is heard, not because we've got the best techniques or we're the smartest or we can actually produce lots of tables of information, but actually we can create better business and create better business results. So my presentation is in three parts. Firstly, to stop. I want to first talk about why we need to stop. And it's partly because the discussion which you heard about this morning and probably discussed over the last couple of days, which is the changing media landscape. And in the past, and even when I was a marketer, the way of communicating with people is just broadcast messages, work out who's your target market, do mainstream advertising and start yelling messages about buy our stuff or our service is better than the others, and to work with great agencies to come up with a point of difference. But I suggest that certainly things have changed, and clearly the advent of digital and all the different platforms you can use now, things are actually changing. And the internet caused a lot of that change, certainly. And no longer is the brand reputation or your company's reputation built around advertising. It's built around how soon you come up when people Google your name. The amount of information that's available now via Google is incredible. When I was growing up, what I knew about McDonald's was what I walked into the restaurant my parents took me to and saw Ronald McDonald jumping around about hamburgers. As I said before, I've got three daughters. When they Google McDonald's, they find the McDonald's site. The second thing is they find the anti-McDonald's site. So everything that's good about McDonald's, everything that's bad about McDonald's. And the third thing they see is supply chain information about where they get the potatoes from and quality standards. So just in 3 seconds on Google, my daughters can find out so much, if they're interested, can find out so much about McDonald's, and not just what McDonald's want to tell my kids. And I think that is a significant change in the way the messages are being created. So today it's much more about singling out individuals, trying to influence people, trying to get really tight, targeted messages, not in a kind of total broadcast sense and not sending out the same message to everyone, but really identifying what key messages, much more one-on-one marketing, today's much more about understanding the individual instead of understanding the group. And marketing, I guess, is struggling as a profession, as is market research, as is advertising, in my view. Been to many conferences over the years, as I'm sure you have, about we all need to get to the board table, we all need to be more, to get more, we need to be CEOs. But at the moment, I think that it's a tough time around the world for marketing. So I saw a stat the other day out of the US which said that over the last 6 years, only 6% of brands have been able to achieve significant market share growth. So market share is mostly stationary, categories are increasingly homogenous, more people are spending money around discounting than brand building, click-through rates of 0.5%, 4% success rate in DM is considered a success. It's crazy. Thousands and millions of messages going out every day that are not targeted, that are not being listened to, that are just being considered as spam or kind of inconvenience to people. Less people are seeing difference in ads. And I think all of this tells us again that, back to Vanilla Ice, is that we need to stop what we're doing and we really need to create something different and behave in a completely different way. This is some research out of the US in July this year, so it's very current. It was a fascinating piece of research by one of the women involved in this research was the author of Groundswell. I don't know if you've read that book. It's a fantastic book. If you haven't, try and get it. I can't remember her name right now, which is not very useful. But effectively, this research looked at the world's top 100 brands. And as we do in research, we love to split them into groups. And what this research proved quantitatively was that the brands that that engaged in strong social media engagement with their customers across multiple platforms, the companies and the brands that had the strongest engagement across multiple platforms were more financially successful, greater ROI, more financially secure companies. So for years I've been trying to talk about marketing ROI and market research ROI, but this study, I guess, is a real breakthrough, saying that of all the top 100 brands around the world, those that have a strong social media engagement strategy across multiple platforms are more financially successful. Full stop.